So I'll just give you a little more information about peer-implemented PRT. The way that I did it was an empty classroom, and that was from a research design perspective. I would actually encourage you to think about doing things directly on the playground, directly in recess. You might start in a classroom where you kind of maybe prime the child and kind of get them going, but for research purposes, we need a kind of a standardized setting. So it was an empty classroom, and we had a standardized set of toys. So we had a range of things between board games and some baby dolls and some more cause and effect type toys. And in this example here, there is one of our play coaches who's kind of in the middle, and you can see the little boy with autism is completely backed into the corner and just did not engage with any of the toys. This was before any intervention started, even though there's all sorts of engaging toys. In terms of the training and the training of the classmate or the play coach, it came from Karen Pierce and Laura Schreibman, and they have a manual that's published in 1995, and there are 6 key strategies which I will talk about shortly. Again, this is all done in the context of play, like you could see in the last slide. And the classmates received training. So really it was an adult, whether it's in this study it was myself, but in the study that I talked about it was school staff and the classmate, and they spent time just training and learning these strategies. And eventually then the child with autism was brought in, and then there was direct coaching of actually the classmate to support the student with autism to get engaged in the play. And the training was around 3 hours in total over 8 consecutive school days. And the focus was really on 2 pivotal areas. And again, when we're thinking of this model of pivotal response treatment, we want to think about what are the big dominoes? What's the front domino that we can push down that's going to help all of the other skills? And for this particular intervention, attention and getting a child's attention was really key, because you think of how many social opportunities kids learn because they're just not orienting and just not looking towards the objects or the game. And then motivation. We've heard a lot about motivation today and how to think outside the box in terms of motivational academics or motivational play, and how much further we can get by finding things that they like. And not necessarily getting rid of their preferred object, like maybe we might have been taught in the past, but how can we incorporate that to get them to want to play? So briefly, the model, the training format actually looks quite similar to what was happening in the behavioral skills training of educational assistants. But the adult trainer, who was myself, would explain the strategy to the classmate, to the play coach. The play coach would explain the strategy back to me. I would model the strategies with the actual toys and show them what they kind of look like. Then we do a lot of role play and give a lot of back and forth feedback. And then eventually the classmate is paired with the play coach is paired with the student with autism and given feedback during those sessions. So I'm going to show you what the strategies actually look like. And all of the play coaches actually got a copy of this manual, and the manual is all visual, but it is a reminder for them of what that actually looks like. So the very first strategy, and arguably to me the most important strategy, is getting the child with autism to pay attention. So we know that kids with autism are faced with lots of difficulties in attention. We know that they have trouble with joint attention, initiating joint attention or following joint attention, integrating multiple cues, even just orienting their attention. And also, we know if someone's really focused on one thing, it's really hard for kids with autism to shift their attention to something else. And so kids with autism miss so much chance to learn through social observation. So we learn so much by just watching what someone does and then modeling it. But if a child with autism who already has difficulties with attending isn't even looking up, they're losing so many opportunities to kind of learn about the social world. So this is the very first strategy. We really encourage the play coach to, whatever you do, to get in front of the child, hold up things visually, and don't present the play opportunity until you have their attention. The second strategy really targets, it's called giving choices, and this really targets motivation. So again, we're all going to learn best when we're motivated, and we're trying to get both the classmate to show the child with autism that play can be fun and to kind of get going on that. And we also want the classmates to eventually learn that once we get the play going with the child with autism, that they can have fun with that child too. But we really need to start with motivation. So we encourage the classmate to find 2 toys that we know the student with autism is going to enjoy. So at least one of them they should enjoy. They're going to hold them up so they can visually see the toy and make sure they get in front of the child with autism before they present the opportunity. So you might say, do you want a truck or a book? And kind of hold out until they actually verbalize and say their words for that activity. So I am going to show you an example of what that strategy actually looks like. And the next video is going to show a female play coach, so a typically developing classmate. And these are students in the first year of school. And the little boy in this clip has autism. And you'll see her doing 2 strategies. First, getting the little boy's attention. And second, presenting the choice. So she's waiting with all of her toys very patiently before she gets his attention, which is quite hard.
You want to play ball or play ball? Okay.
So she was very persistent, but you could see how that if she did not wait to get his attention, then there's no chance that social interaction would have happened. So that was the first thing. And she was, I had to give her a lot of credit. She was going to follow him around till that boy turned around and looked at her. And then for those of you who can't see the video who are online, she very clearly held up, I believe it was a ball and some other kind of cool toy, and didn't release those things until the little boy vocalized. The third strategy is really focused on encouraging conversation, which is an important aspect of any social conversation. And so it's really, we call this one ask your friend to talk. And essentially we try to get them to use any opportunity to encourage the children with autism, ask for what toys they want to use, to talk about the aspects of the toy, to listen to the descriptions of the toy. The fourth strategy is focused on taking turns. So this is a skill, I just have to say, this is a tough skill for not just students with autism, but any child. Taking turns can be tough. But what's important about this skill is that it gives lots of multiple opportunities for the child with autism to ask for their turn back. And if they're motivated to play the game, then there's lots of chances for them to keep asking and keep getting their turn back. And it also shows them and models to them kind of that appropriate back and forth activity. The fifth strategy is really aimed at praise and reinforcement. So play is not necessarily inherently reinforcing in the early days. It can be, but we want to make sure that the play coach is praising the child with autism, just like they would if they were a soccer coach. Say, good job pushing the truck, or nice throw if they're throwing a ball back and forth. And so this is designed to reinforce the play. It's also encouraged to have some positive affect happening back and forth between the kids. And it's also designed to support our typically developing peers, our classmates as well. If they're not having fun, then they're not going to have fun with the students with autism. So we want them to be having fun in this process as well. The final strategy is really about narrating play, or we call it tell me what you were doing. So we have the classmate driving the car, and if the classmate is driving the car, the play coach, then they're going to say, I'm driving the car. I'm throwing the ball to the doll. I'm baking a cake. And so it's really an opportunity to do a couple of things. It's an opportunity to help orient the child with autism to the cool thing that's happening with play, where they may not orient to it otherwise because of the attention difficulties. It's also teaching them about what to do with things and how, oh wow, look, I wouldn't have thought to drive the car or bake the cake. And so they're learning more about those pieces, and it really just focuses on that observational learning piece.